Could it possibly be that you're sitting on a gold mine and you don't even realize it? You don't even know it? I had to bring it to mind as we talk about it today on In the Mix called Rich in Resources. I want to talk about how to manage the wealth of self. Stick and stay. More is coming your way right here on In the Mix. You know, whether you realize it or not, got to let you know that the greatest resource that you have is you. It's not your car, it's not your clothes, it's not the house or the townhouse, the condo, or the apartment that you live in. It's not the money that is in your bank account or in your purse or your pocket. The greatest resource that you have is you. And so the question becomes, how are you managing your heart set, your skill set, your mindset, your soul set? Are you an asset to yourself or are you a liability? Because one thing that we have to realize is that your valuables are not greater than the value that you have. You have to see yourself as valuable. And too many people only see themselves as valuable if they only have a certain level of valuables. Your value is not in what you have. Your value is not in what you have. Your value is in who you are. And for many of us, when we're stripped of everything, when you lose this, that, and the other, you lose you. You lose your mind. You lose your soul. You lose your spirit because you placed your value in what you had, but not in who you are. And that's why we got to get back to the essence of recognizing that we're already rich in resources. When we understand and when we manage the wealth of self. One thing that we're going to have to do and delineate is between what is urgent versus what's important. For many of us, we can't tap into the wealth of self. We can't tap into the rich resources that we have that's on the inside of us simply because we don't even properly delineate between what's urgent and what's important. You know, scripture even says that you have a treasure within an earthen vessel. That speaks to richness. That speaks to resource. That speaks to the wealth that is within you. And for many of us, we can't determine what's urgent versus what's important because, we're always answering that little ping on the phone. For many of us, the notifications have become so urgent, even though that, may be important, but is it really urgent? Is every message that you get on social media urgent for you to respond, for you to drop everything, for you to answer to? Is it so urgent for you to touch your phone, as they say, as researchers say, at least 3,000 times a day? Is it that important for you to be able to now be in a business meeting and you have to reach for that particular device? What might feel really urgent can usually wait. What might feel really important might be able to wait. Getting your quality rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Spending the quality time developing your mind and reading, and now getting into a particular place to where you're able to understand what is important. Every emergency is not an emergency. every little call is not necessarily a particular emergency. Every urgency is not a particular emergency. And so being able to to not shortchange yourself and not shortchange your time. What are the time thieves that are in your life? That's what you're going to have to ask yourself. Secondly, what are the time thieves in your life? If you're going to manage the wealth of self, you're going to have to decide what's valuable, what's important, what actually adds value to my life. What are my goals? What are the things that are now trapping me in these little time capsules, these little aspects of the time thieves? What are the time thieves that are in your life? What's robbing you of the rich resources that you have that's on the inside of you? What's now stopping and stymieing you from managing the wealth of self? I told you the greatest resource that you have is you. How are you a manager of it? One of the other greatest resources that you have is your time. You can lose money, but if you lose time, you can't get that back. Time that has been wasted is gone. Am I wasting my time or am I investing my time? Am I wasting my time to where you're up all night just scrolling on your phone and binge watching Netflix? Or could you be investing your time by getting the proper rest that's needed and necessary so that when you get up the next day, your mind isn't foggy? But now you're able to move into a greater place of creativity, development, right? You're able to be more efficient. You're able to be more effective. You're not spending an hour and a half on your workout when it should have been 30 minutes. But the reason you spent more time and an hour extra is because you were scrolling on your phone, because your mind wasn't really into it. Why? Because your body and your mind and your soul and your spirit is tired. I have to delineate between what's urgent, what's important. I have to delineate also between what are those time thieves? What's wasting my time? If I'm going to be rich in resources, what are those resources that I need to tap into? Here's one thing that we don't talk about is the prioritization of rest. Yes. Yeah. Person of interest number one right here. I got to do better with that myself. But while I'm talking to you, yeah, I'm taking inventory of it as well. I got to do better with that. I'm doing better with that. I'm taking time to do better with that. Because as I told somebody the other day, I said, listen, if you don't rest, you rust. If you don't rest, you will rust. And when we're talking about the greatest resource that you have, yeah, it's you, it's your time, is also your level of rest. Being able to put yourself into a mode and a space and a place to where you're not expending yourself, your time, your energy, your mental bandwidth, and you're not resting. See, a lot of us, yes, we will go to sleep, but we don't get rest. Why? Because the last thing that you looked at before you got into the bed was your phone. So you're dealing with the blue light that's all in your eyes. You got so much that is on your mind. You've been so compounded mentally, and you have not been able to unpack what it is that is on your mind. And so you're going to bed with heaviness, or you ate right before you went to sleep. So the body's deciding now, do I sleep or do I digest food? And so it's in a fight within its own self, even as you're sleeping. Compounded levels of stress, and you don't want to get into a mode and a modality of just popping pills of trying to pop pills so that you can go to sleep. No, you want to be able to prepare yourself in a specific time and place so that you can get proper rest. Powering down the phone, powering down the TV. Maybe you're listening to some soft music. Maybe you're reading something that's now going to speak affirmations to your mind, to where now, even as your mind, as your body is resting, the subconscious of it is now digesting all of what it is that you were able to read right before you went to bed. Right beyond just sleep, it's about rest. And beyond just the rest for the body, it's also for the rest for the mind. Scientists say that even as you're sleeping, it's like your brain is now having windshield wipers take out all of the debris, get rid of all of the things that don't necessarily need to be in your brain space. It is discarding of that so that your brain is able to operate in a particular capacity. But if you're not getting the proper rest, here's what it's now going to affect. It's going to affect your attitude. It's going to affect your level of creativity. You're going to now be more frustrated. It could possibly lead to depression, depressive thoughts. The energy level is not there. You're in traffic now. Now you got a shorter fuse. Things that you would brush off, now you're making a big issue of it. You're majoring in minors. Why? Because you're not taking care of the resource that you have. You are a resource. Your time is a resource. The level how you use your time, and even if and for you to get the proper rest, is a resource for yourself. Because the better that you rest, the easier the creativity comes. The ideas are just dropping out of dropping from heaven just right into your mind, downloading dreams in your mind that become your vision in the morning, right to where you're now receptive. People see that there's a glow on the inside of you. People see that there's a glow coming and oozing from you. Why? Because you took inventory of it. Last but not least, as we're talking about this rich in resources, we want to really speak to the whole aspect of single tasking. A lot of us, we're multitasking, and we think we're so great at multitasking, and you're really better at single tasking than you are multitasking. You're juggling this, that, and the other, and you think you're doing a great, incredible job with it. But imagine how much more focused you would be, how more efficient and effective you would be if you shifted from multitasking to single tasking. For you to shift to single tasking, you have to get to a particular place, even as you're thinking about single tasking. What are my priorities? What matters most right now? What is that? Right? When you think about, even as the night winds down, what is your priority? Priority has to be rest to deal with stress. Prioritization has to be that I'm not just setting an alarm clock for me to wake up in the morning. I'm setting an alarm clock for me to now get myself into a particular place. Okay, got to shower, got to make sure that I get myself into a specific place and space for rest. Got to make sure that my clothes are laid out. Got to make sure that my lunch is packed. Isn't it interesting? All the things that you didn't want to do as a kid, now you need to do as an adult. You didn't want to get into bed early as a kid. Now you got to get into bed early as an adult. Didn't want to make your lunch as a kid. Now you need to make your lunch as an adult. You save some money. You stop spending $20 a day on your lunch. But you need to make sure that you are being a person who is not spendthrifty, but is more frugal with your finances. All the things that you didn't want to do as a kid, you got to do now as an adult. When I'm talking about priority and I'm talking about single tasking, I'm talking about what is the one thing. For many of us, it's not a whole bunch of things that's going to change your life. It's just one thing that you can do that's going to change your life. What is that one thing going to be? What is that one thing going to be? The word priority comes from the word singular. It speaks to singularity. What's the one thing that you can do? For many of us, when we're waking up in the morning, is not to grab the phone first. Right? I don't want to just be inundated with dopamine hits. No, maybe I need to shift into do not disturb. That D&D, do not disturb, or even as I did a show previously called Dedicated, Not Distracted. What is the one or two things that you can do? Is the one thing that you can do, the singular focus for maybe the first 1 or 2 hours of your day. Got to get up earlier, maybe, if you got to get up to go to work earlier. One thing that you can do, most important thing that you can get done. Robin Sharma talks about this in his book, The 5 a.m. Club. He talks about the 90-91 rule. First 90 minutes of your day for the next 90 days. What's the one thing that you can do that's now going to move the needle forward in your industry? When I'm thinking about single tasking, not multitasking, not doing a whole bunch of things and then you're dropping everything, or you're more frustrated, or you're stressed out, Get a hold of your priorities. Get a hold of your mindset, your soul set, your skill set, so that you can be an asset because your heart set is in the right space and place. You're rich in resources. You already have what you need. You don't need anybody else. You don't need to be like anybody else. You don't have to do what everybody else does. You can now stir up your own gifts internally, but you have to recognize that you are a resource. Too many times we're expecting everybody else to not only just be a resource, but to be our source. No, people are resources. They're not your source. God has to be the source. And when he's the source, now he makes you rich in the resource and there gives you the resources that you have, that you need, so that you can be rich. Rich. That speaks to more than just wealth of the pocket, but it speaks to wealth of the mind. Because if you have wealth of the mind, you'll eventually have wealth of the pocket. But you'll only have the wealth of the pocket when you manage the wealth of self. See yourself as a jewel. See yourself as having gems. See yourself as having all of the precious empowerment that you possibly need so that you can not just survive, but you can thrive. And here's the thing. When you see yourself differently, now you behave differently. When you see yourself differently, you now have relationships that are different. Why? Because you understand that there's resources that are on the inside of you that are rich. You're managing the wealth of who it is that you are. And if people are not bringing wealth to a wealthy person like you, you got to discard of it. You got to let it go so that you can heal, so that you can grow. Let me show you how to develop even more so those rich resources that you have on the inside of you in my amazing Eagles Academy. Join my community right now. All you have to do is go to theeaglesacademy.com. When you get there, tap the enroll now button, fill out the form. I guarantee you're going to be transformed. Something on the inside of you is nudging you, it's pulling you, it's calling you, it's to a certain degree screaming at you and saying, listen, there's got to be more. Let me show you how to step into that more. I want you to take the quantum leap. And when you take the quantum leap, you're going to experience the transformation. My amazing community, the Eagles Academy, where we're going to empower you and show you how to soar into greater success and purpose. Go right now to theeaglesacademy.com, tap the enroll now button. I want to get you to the space of the healed self, the transformed self, the self that says you know how to close the gap between your ideas, your impact, your influence, and ultimately your income. The gap is too wide for many of us. Let me show you how to close the gap. If you close the gap, the right doors are going to open for you. And I'm going to show you what to do when those doors open for you so that you step in equipped, empowered, and you're efficient and effective. TheEaglesAcademy.com. When you get there, tap the enroll now button, fill out the form. Guarantee you'll be transformed. I can't wait to see your face in our digital space. Here's what I often say. We've been having a courageous conversation. I know that for sure. You can help me to enrich other people's lives. You can help me to do that. I want you to send a love gift to Cash App, $Dr. Eddie Ministries, on PayPal, info@EddieConnor.com, and then even on Zelle, EddieConnorJr@gmail.com. I'm doing the work. I got my sleeves rolled up. I'm in the community. The work that we've been able to do, especially as I serve as a pastor of the Remnant Worshipers Ministry in the city of Detroit, we've developed our Operation Outreach Ministry in these times where SNAP benefits have been snipped, where people are dealing with food insecurity. We're answering the call. And so much so that we fed more than 25,000 people in just 13, 14 months time since September of 2024. We can do more. You can help me do more by giving more. I appreciate all the donations that you've been giving, and it's blessing so many people. Not only that, I'm mentoring in the community. I'm mentoring, able to support and purchase resources for these young brothers that I mentor. I'm teaching them, coaching them, empowering them to develop who it is that they are as they read, they lead, and they succeed. Once again, the link is in the description of this video. Link is in the chat for how and where to give. Once again, on Cash App, $Dr. Eddie Ministries, PayPal, info@EddieConnor.com, and then even on Zelle, EddieConnorJr at gmail.com. I appreciate your support, and your gifts of love help me to now give back to the community in a greater way. Hit that thumbs up button on this video, hit the like button, the subscribe button. I've been growing your greatness. Help me to grow our channel for change that creates change and that breaks chains. I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate your support. Makes a world of a difference, and it helps me to streamline and spread this message even more so abroad. Follow me on social media at EddieConnorJr. Put some respect on my name, family. EddieConnorJr. Let me know what you thought about the show in the comments below. Comment rich, comment wealth. Yeah, you're rich in resources. Now it's time for you to manage the wealth of self. Let me know what you thought about the show in the comments below. You know I got to go, but I just want you to know it's yours truly, Dr. Eddie, your main man, 100 grand, your brother. And I mean that from another mother. Family has been fun, but you know, brother got to run. So I want you to know it's been a privilege and a pleasure, a treat and a treasure, a joy beyond measure. But I want you, yes, you, to remember to keep the faith and believe. It's going to be bigger, better, brighter. Peace and a whole lot of love. Keep soaring.